You're listening to the Laughing Couple podcast with your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy. Join them weekly as they discuss topics such as relationships, kids, sex, parenting, all unfiltered and all with a healthy dose of laughter. Please welcome your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we've got a special guest. This isn't a standard Laughing Couple podcast episode, but the individual we're about to introduce, well, I'll say his name first, is Shaun Banks. Now, Shaun, do you prefer Shaun or do you prefer SF Banks? Because everything that you have is not Shaun.
Whatever rolls off your tongue, easier, man. So if you want to say SF, you can. You want to say Shaun, you can. Whatever works.
I'll go with Shaun.
There we go.
I'll go with Shaun.
Shaun Banks sounds like such a cool name.
You know what I've discovered on this podcast is there are a lot of people with famous names.
I agree.
Destined for things. So Shaun had approached us a couple months back about jumping onto the podcast. We took a look at his socials. We were just so impressed with what you were doing, Shaun, with the youth and the community and servicing other people, that we had to get you onto the podcast. So although this isn't the standard TLC Laughing Couple podcast, I think the message is super clear. It's super important, and we just had to get you onto this platform. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure. Can you do our community a favor and introduce yourself, what you do, what you're all about, what your message is, and then we can just dive right into the episode.
Absolutely. So my name is Shaun Banks, and I am into youth motivational development. And I've been doing that for over 20 years now. Started out, I couldn't stand kids. I didn't want to work with kids at all.
Every parent ever.
Oh my God, I'm trying to tell you. But saw such a huge need in what was going on. And so, my story is I kind of, being led that way. And so started out with I Am Defense Institute, which is a defense program for women and children, to teach them how to defend themselves. From there, we went to Camp Warrior King, which is a youth development camp that exposes kids to activities they normally wouldn't experience during the school year. From there, we went to You Can Have It All Youth Conferences, which is all about motivating kids to go after their dreams. You Can Have It All Youth Magazine, which is an international magazine designed to do the same thing, get kids dreaming bigger, being inspired by other youth. The Team Hot Sauce brand, which is our characters designed to build children's self-efficacy, the idea that they can do something. And then we have the Success Stacks, which is a game that's designed to actually do that. And so, staying busy, man, with all about youth development.
I love that.
Absolutely. We're going to get into why you do what you do and exactly how you do it. But it's clear right off the bat, this is exactly why we wanted you on the show. We have not done any segment when it comes to empowering the youth. And the truth of the matter is, as parents, that is our mission. It should be our mission, is to empower our children to be the best versions of themselves.
Right.
So I'm really, really interested in this.
Before we get into all the lovey-dovey stuff, can we do I love you and you're annoying, but youth?
Yeah, kid version.
What is the most annoying thing about working with?
Okay, so I'll give you a couple of them. So when I first started, the most annoying thing with working with youth were booger fingers, right? So these kids that come up to you and they want to hug you, right, and all this stuff, but they just got finished with like brain digging deep up to their nose, and they come out and they want to hug you, right? Or they want to grab you, or they want to shake your hand. That was something that I had to get used to. I had to work on my moves, man. It's like the Matrix trying to move out of the way of these fingers coming around. Yeah, is one.
Official booger ninja.
A booger ninja, exactly. And some of the others are things like on field trips, right? So we'll take these kids on field trips, and they know they're not supposed to go, but once or twice we've had kids actually sneak on the bus. And
really?
To sneak on the bus. Yeah, because they want to go on a field trip that they're not supposed to go on. Their parents say,
how old are they?
Oh man, we've had kids like 8, 9. We've had a couple.
Oh my God. Yeah. Little rebels.
Yeah, the rebels. And so we had to start making arm bands, like how you go into a club or a game, for the kids that could actually go, because we had kids sneaking on the bus. We'd have to turn around. Right. So those are my two. I love you, but you're annoying. The second one is you're annoying and you could get us in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. You're annoying and this isn't like a nightclub.
Child abduction is not necessarily seen in a good light.
It's not. What are you doing? Why are you here? You're supposed to be at camp. Exactly.
I love that. I wasn't expecting you to say that. So like, I just feel like that's so ballsy.
I'm picturing like 8-year-olds at the bottom, like holding on to the
underneath the seats.
Yeah, no.
Under the bus.
Under the bus. No, they're more like, you count the kids and you'll have one that has a blanket over their head. And so instead of pulling the blanket off over their head once they've done the count, it's that kid. Or there's another kid squished in the seat between that child. Yeah, it's stuff like that they'll do.
Oh my God.
Yeah, brilliant. So it takes a team effort to sneak a kid onto a bus.
It's a team effort. Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. Yeah.
Let's
committed.
Reverse here. So you said that you started the defense, like that's how you kind of got into this. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened is, and when I was about 17 years old, my aunt and cousin were murdered in a domestic violence situation. And that murder, it really rocked our family, right? Our close-knit family. She was coming down to my sister's wedding and she went back that night and he stabbed her to death and then stabbed my cousin, 9-year-old cousin. And so at that time, I really said, okay, I'm going to do something, in their honor. I couldn't do anything about their death, but I could do something in their honor. It was 10 years from that time until I started the I Am Defense Institute. And I started that because the real estate market had crashed back in about 2008. Things were just going crazy. And a buddy of mine said, hey, look, man, let's figure out how we can make some things happen. And so we started teaching martial arts at schools. And it was at that time that the seed kind of came up out of my heart, like, oh, man, this is something I can do to honor my aunt and my cousin. And so that was where the passion started to come because I did not want to work with kids at all. And so we started going around to different schools around the city of Atlanta, going to different youth programs. And the moms that were dropping their kids off would say, hey, look, can you teach me something to be able to walk safely to my car? Can you teach me how to, protect myself if I'm in a situation with a boyfriend or something going on? And you were like, okay, absolutely. And it just kind of started from there.
That's a super powerful.
Yeah.
How long did you, and are you still running these programs or this is like you've moved, you are?
Yeah, still running them. Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. Like, when do you breathe?
At night.
So much going on.
At night, I breathe, go to bed. I don't do as many classes as I used to, but we still keep them going because it has such a great impact on the youth and just in building their confidence. So we keep those going.
Well, what I was gonna say is when you're passionate about something, I find that when you're passionate about something, you can run a lot longer than you normally would think, right?
Absolutely.
And I find that people who are not inspired, and this is nothing against them, but people who are not inspired don't understand the work ethic of someone who is inspired, because it doesn't seem like a work ethic to someone who's inspired. It seems like I got to do the next thing. I got to do something bigger. I got to do it quicker. I got to do it faster. I got to help more people. And it's very evident to me with all of the projects that you're going on that you're really in a space of creativity, but mainly passion.
Right. Right. Because you have to be passionate about it because you're dealing with challenges, right? You deal with challenges all the time. And if you're not passionate about it, you'll quit. And that's in anything that you do. You can't just chase it for money or for, fame or accolades, because all that stuff will eventually run away, right? It gets difficult and you have to make a lot of sacrifices. Your family has to make a lot of sacrifices. And so you have to be passionate about it. Absolutely.
So 2 questions. One, what had flipped you to like, you know what, maybe I don't hate kids. I want to work with them. Like, was there like a moment, or was it like, they're all right?
Like conceptually, kids are shit.
Yeah, they're so annoying.
Practically, they're not that bad.
Right.
But like other people's kids are annoying. Like our kids, that's fine. But if you say that you love all kids, you're lying. Like,
you're lying. Yeah, if somebody's like they love all kids, they're lying. I don't know lying. How you could. Because they're little people who are completely unfiltered, right? And so they say what comes across their screen. If it comes across their screen, it's coming out their mouth. And what really changed was the need, right? So we're teaching these martial arts classes, and we're realizing that, okay, these kids need personal development, right? We're teaching them how to, kick and punch and how to have confidence, but they're lacking work ethic, or they're lacking social skills. They're lacking all these other needs. And it was the need that started driving me towards going into youth development. And then when I started seeing kids that were really going through things in life, you know, whether it was abuse or just, you know, being hungry or, and these are kids on all different spectrums, right? You got kids that are, you know, parents don't have a lot of money and they're dealing with issues. Parents got a ton of money and they're dealing with issues. And when I started seeing that it was affecting all children, then it was like, man, okay, we can really do something about it. And there's not enough being done. When I started traveling internationally and I started doing conferences, I realized there were children in other parts of the world that were dealing with the exact same issues that kids were dealing with in the United States. And said, okay, this is something that, you know, it started hitting my heart is what started happening. And when it started hitting my heart, it's like, okay, you know, how can we not do it?
Right.
Yeah.
So can you give us a little example?
What's question number 2?
I forget. I was so involved.
I wanted to say something, but I'm not basic.
I do. I remember. Do you have kids of your own?
Yes, I do. I have 2 boys. Yeah,
see, I knew it was something.
Yeah, I have 2 boys, and they keep me extremely busy. And I will tell you a joke about one of them before we are done. Yes, it's real. It's hilarious.
Are you going to tell that joke, or
you're gonna wait
before we're done?
I can do it whenever. I can do it now.
I love jokes.
It's actually a story.
Yeah,
right.
Go for it.
Of like, I love you, but you're annoying. Right, one of those kind of stories. All right. So my youngest son, Ellis, he's 4 years old, and he's going to swimming. 3 months, right? We couldn't get him to pass the next level because he wouldn't put his head in the water. And they're like, look, Mr. Banks, there's no way we can pass him on if he's not going to pass his swimming lesson, right? This part.
Right.
I'm like, okay, we got to do something, man, because I'm not going to keep paying for these classes and you're not putting your head in the water. Yeah. So one day, you know, giving him a bath and I'm on my knees right by the tub, right? You give him a bath. And I said, okay, Ellis, Daddy's going to put his head in the water and I'm going to show you how to blow bubbles and then you're going to do it. Okay. He says, okay. So I put my head in the water, man, I'm blowing the bubbles, come up, and he's like cracking up laughing. And I said, okay, now it's your turn. He's like, I'm not going to do it. All right, Daddy's going to do it one more time. Okay, then you're going to do it. Okay, get in the water. Blowing the bubbles, come up, he's cracking up laughing like hysterically. So I can't understand why he's laughing. My wife is filming it. She says to me, you know, he just pissed in the water, right?
Shut up.
So he had peed in the water and then let me put my head in the water and blow bubbles to come up. Twice. And he was like, twice.
Did your wife know?
She knew. That's why she was recording it. Yeah.
She was like, no, sorry, this is going to be # memories.
She's like,
this
is
that's on
right
her
here.
As much as it is on him.
Man, yeah, right. I was like, fucking her.
I would do that. Like, and you would 100% do the same. You would allow that to happen.
And I was just like, oh my God, dude. Like, really? Like, I felt like I had been turned on. Like, what did I do?
Right.
The best part is you're trying to inspire him to put his head in the water, and he's not putting his head in the water because he doesn't want to blow the bubbles. He doesn't want to blow bubbles and pee.
Right.
This bubble bath tastes a little off today.
Right. I'll let you do it. Right. I'm not putting my head in that pee. Yeah.
Now, Shaun, you're from the Atlanta area, right?
Yes.
And I don't know a ton about Atlanta, but what I do know is that there really are 2 extremes to Atlanta when it comes to the financial gap. And so you see all sides of the spectrum when it comes to the children. And I think that Atlanta is a really good sample size when it comes to understanding the youth and the development of the youth. But you had mentioned earlier, there is some predictability in children, whether they're of the wealthy side or the non-side, whether they're from the U.S. or they're not from the U.S. Children are very simplistic in their thought patterns. What, as parents, or I should say, what have you seen that's predictable, whether it's on one side or the other side? And then what, as parents, can we do? Because the main goal is to inspire your children.
Right.
What do you think's missing?
Okay. So what's predictable when it comes to children is the environment that they're in, right? Number one. So a child that is in, and it's a lot of studies that have been done about it, children that are in a negative environment, right? A bad environment are more than likely to have a negative impact in their life, right? The chance of them becoming successful in a sense, or being able to get out of that situation and to be able to take care of their families and be able to move on is extremely low, right? Because they're in an environment where they're being exposed to all kinds of things. So whether that's drugs, abuse, alcohol, violence, gang influence, the education, right? Lack of education, lack of books. When a child is in that situation, you can almost predict that child, the chances of their success or coming out and being productive are extremely low. So that is a high predictability, and it's unfortunate. Now, what counters that, and it goes to your second question, is love, right? When a parent doesn't have to have a whole lot of money, they don't have to have all these shiny bells and whistles. Your kid can care less about what you are at your job, the senior vice, whoop-de-woo of whatever. What they want is your love, and love is spelled Time. Spending quality time with your kid, even if you can't do it a lot. The kid knows that you love them. You love them with your time. You love them with how you talk to them, right? You're the voice in their head. So it's doing things like telling your child that you're proud of them for sticking with something, even though they didn't do a good job. Hey, I'm proud of you for persevering through that. It's telling them, it's going and spending time with them, playing baseball or tea parties or whatever it is that they're into, whether you can do it a lot or you can do it a little. It's the quality. That's the thing that parents can do more than anything. Is just spend the time and let their children know that they're loved. You can get them a pair of Jordans, a pair of LeBrons, right? But they're not, I mean, think about it. Do you remember the pairs of shoes you had when you were 9?
Ryan does.
Yeah.
He does.
I do, but I'm obsessed.
But only because he didn't. Is this the year that you peaked?
I know the first pair of Nikes that I ever had were the sweetest pair of Nikes ever. And they were for Christmas. And I remember it because it was the first time I ever peeked at my Christmas presents.
Oh, wow.
And I ruined my Christmas. And Mom, if you're listening to this podcast, I never told you this. But in grade 3, when you got me my very first pair of Nikes, I peeked and I saw them. Ruined my whole Christmas. So I remember those shoes only because it was a devastating moment in my
life. Confessions of our childhood.
Yeah,
but I do get the point. I do get the point. Now, what I will say this is we are very connected with our kids. We try very difficult. We try very hard to be present in their lives on an ongoing basis. But I will say this: as my daughter is athletic, what I struggle with, Shaun, is when I go to her sports and she doesn't try.
Yeah. Ryan's like on the side because he played football growing up. And literally I'm like, Ryan, you can't come to her soccer game. Because he's just like, I'm like, are you about to take a shit? Like, why is your face like the whole time? Because he's so frustrated because he knows that she like has those skills. And she's just like,
she's choosing not to use them.
Right. Don't want to. Right. Like, it's hard, that motivation. But that's a good segue to like, could you give us a couple maybe like tidbits of what you speak about in your conferences to empower the youth when you're in the schools, when you're doing the international conferences and talking to youth? Like, what can you tell our parents at home that will help inspire?
The foundational stuff.
Yeah.
Foundational stuff. So there's several things. Number one, and this might sound weird, but it won't sound weird, but it kind of sounds cliche. The idea that you can do anything you put your mind to. And a lot of times as adults, we get older and it's like, well, that's not necessarily true. And it's because we get technical, right? The technical aspects of can they really do what they want to do? But the truth of the matter is that they can, and that what they want to do will change as time goes on. But the idea for a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old is to believe that, hey, man, if you want to be a doctor, you can be that doctor. You can be that doctor. And whether you're going to be a doctor at 25, we don't know. But right now at 9 or 10, you need to believe that you can make that happen for yourself, because it's not so much about them wanting to be a doctor. It's about them saying, can I do something that I really want to, that I really believe in? So I talk to parents, well, with kids, it's called gassing the dream, right? It's like putting fuel into your tank. It's whatever they want to do, you support it. So if a kid wants to do something, we support it 110%, because we need that child to have the confidence to believe that they can do something. And that's self-efficacy, that I can do this. I can impact the world in a certain way. If I see something that I don't like, I can make a difference. I'm empowered to do that. We talk to them about the importance of socialization, getting along with others and making friends, not just on social media, but making a friend at the playground or at school or at camp, because those are lasting relationships that you'll have for years. Being able to talk to someone and say, hello, hi, how are you? You know, what is your name? Right? We talk about that. We talk about the importance of having a dream, whatever that dream is. You know, what is your dream in life? And having a dream board, a vision board, and actually making them quantifiable and pulling them off the wall, right? So you say, okay, well, what's the dream? Yeah, okay, well, you know, you might want to have a Ferrari one day. That's great. But what do you want to do in the next 6 months? What do you want to do in the next 2 months? Right? Oh man, I really would like to get an A in science. Okay, well, let's put that up on the wall. And what do you have to do to make that happen? And you start to give them those steps early, right? In a little kid kind of way, so that they understand the idea of setting goals and accomplishing those goals, because that's a skill that most people don't get till they're older.
You're unfolding it for them. Like, okay, you want a Ferrari, but like you said, okay, you want an A in science. What do you have to do to get there? So that you're really working backwards without them even realizing that you're creating this, essentially this guide for them to get there, to get to the Ferrari,
to get the Ferrari, right? It's the same principles, right?
And then my second point too, you were talking about.
Can I steal for 1 second?
I'm just kidding.
What I really heard in that segment that you just said is showing interest.
Yeah.
Like being interested in what it is that your kid is interested in.
That's right.
And then being the adult in the conversation to actually, to use your words, which are my words, which I love that you said unfolding, is actually be the adult and unfold for them so that they can see that it is possible.
Right.
It's not a pipe dream. It is possible if you're interested and committed, and then you actually unfold what there is to unfold. That's what I really hear is as a parent, be interested in their commitments.
I really want to touch back on the socialization aspect, which is like overlooked, but especially I feel like in what we're going through right now in the world, I sometimes feel like people are now forgetting how to socialize, and the kids, like, they're like, I feel real bad for the COVID kids were like born, and how are they going to be? Like, you just don't know, because like they're like next level different. They don't really know how to socialize. But it's true. The smallest thing to like make a friend at the park, like be able and being confident enough to put yourself out there to make friends, even if it's not reciprocated. And that goes into like, we just had a huge conversation about bullying. What are your thoughts? Like, do you have any thoughts specifically that you speak about in terms of bullying when you're in the conference? Like, that kind of goes along with like being okay with who you are and being self-confident. But do you speak about that during your talks?
Absolutely. We talk about bullying, and well, first of all, like at our camp, for example, we have 4 rules. Number 1 is respect. Number 2 is discipline. 3 is to encourage each other. Number 4 is to have fun. And respect is key, right? You don't always have to agree in the way we approach bullying. You don't always have to agree with another person with how they look or what they're doing, but you do need to respect them, right? Because all people deserve respect, and respect is treating someone how you want to be treated. So we always try to flip it. Okay, well, if you're, talking about this kid over and over, or you're taking their toys, or you're doing something you shouldn't do, would you want someone to do that to you? Right. Would you want a bigger kid to treat you that way and kind of, mistreat you, or, ostracize you somewhere? We don't use the word ostracize, but, of course, would you want somebody to do that to you? And trying to get them to have some empathy about whatever that, that kid they're bullying and what they're going through. And that's how we approach it. The other way that we approach bullying is, getting kids to understand that life has challenges, and that you're not going to be able to hide from the pushback of who you are, right? So, and it doesn't matter, right? Whether you're, you feel like you're fat, you're skinny, you're black, you're white, you're purple, you're a boy that thinks you're a girl that thinks you're a boy, whatever it is that's going on in your life, you're going to have pushback, whether you think you're going to be a millionaire or you want to be a garbage driver. And somebody's going to always have something to say to go against what it is that you want to do. And so what you have to do is be confident about your dreams and your goals and who you are enough, and build that up so that you can withstand the challenges. Now, it's different from somebody slamming you in the locker and beating you up, right? That's totally unacceptable. And the way that we deal with that with our programs, kids that are like that, they can't be here. And the reason why we're like that is because we require the parents to pay for the program. And it forces the parents to have to get involved, because bullying is an issue that is perpetuated when the parents aren't involved in stopping it.
Right.
That was my next question. Is how are we as parents on both sides of the equation, when your child's being bullied and when your child is the bully? How can we support that situation? Because if my kid's being bullied, the first thing I want to do
is talk to the parents.
Is go to the parents.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Straight up, I want to smash them in the face.
Right. Right.
Ryan wants to pee in their bath.
But I'm not going to. And there's got to be this balance where our children learn to be empowered in the situation where there's disempowerment.
Yeah.
And we as parents need to learn that as well. But at some point in time, the parents do have to figure this out. They're kids.
Absolutely. The parents there has to be a conversation. There has to be that talk if it's going to be solved. If the parent if the parents of the bully want their child to be able to stay, in the school or the program and be able to move forward and not get kicked out or not be labeled, right? Because a lot of times with kids, they start getting, IEPs and things like that, which are behavioral write-ups. There has to be a dialogue between both parents and the children. The challenge is that a lot of times when you have those conversations, you can immediately figure out why the kid is a bully.
Right.
Mm-hmm. When you talk to the parent, it's like, okay. Like, I see it now. And from there, it's like, okay, this is how we're going to handle that situation. Because, either the parent, they're just not going to get it. Right. They're just not going to come around, and then you have to deal with it differently. But having that conversation gives both sides of the situation insight on how to deal with it.
Yeah, I think that when the parents come and it's a straight defense of their child,
Absolutely.
you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like there isn't any accountability for their own child. Like they can do no wrong. Right. But it's also good to look at like your programs or any extracurricular, they're a privilege. Yep. And if you aren't able to be on your best behavior and have that respect, then you don't get to be in it. Like it's not a behavioral program where we help work through, you know what I mean? So like, I feel like it's like, all right, you're out then. This is not like, this is a privilege to be here. And if you can't follow and respect others, then bye.
Then you can't be for me. Yeah, for me, so that's great because you're creating so much value for them where they want to be in a place where their actions have to match what the rules of the game are, right?
Right.
Where school's not treated that way. School's not treated as a privilege. It's treated as something that they just get. In other countries, school is a privilege.
Yeah. Right.
But in this country and in Canada is the same. It's not a privilege. It's just something I have to do.
Right.
And so because that value is not there, maybe that's the answer is creating more value in the school so that kids want to be there.
Absolutely.
What I find, my mom was a little bit ahead of the curve when it comes to bullying. Brittany and I were just having this conversation the other day. I said, I don't know if she was ahead of it or not. My mom was a bully in school.
Oh, wow.
And my uncle, her brother, was bullied in school. My mom told me at a very young age, she said, Ryan, you're charming. She said good looking, but all parents say that. You're charming, you're good looking, you're athletic, you're funny. You are going to have a lot of friends. Mm-hmm. You have the opportunity to be a bully. She said, but if I ever find out that you're a bully, I promise you, I will embarrass you in front of everyone worse than anyone could possibly ever embarrass you. And she was being serious.
Yeah.
It was awkward because Ryan was like 6 months old and he didn't really get what she was saying.
No, but my mom engraved it in me. She really did. She said, when you're in a position of power, when you're an alpha, you get to be the conscience of your classroom.
Right.
And if you're a bully, then everybody gets bullied. If you're not a bully, then nobody gets bullied.
Right.
And she put that responsibility on me at a very, very young age. And you can ask any one of my teachers in grade school and high school. Bullying is just not accepted. Mm-hmm. It just was not acceptable because I said it wasn't acceptable. I would never bully anyone, and I never got bullied.
Right.
Fortunately for me.
Right.
I think the onus is on the parent, though.
It is. 100%.
It's on the parent, but the parent has to be okay with the fact that their kids are sometimes assholes.
Yeah.
Right. Right. That your kid, as facts, that your kid is wrong sometimes and that they're not going to get it right or just exactly what you said. And a lot of times you have parents that will just enable a child's behavior. They're totally okay with it. Well, what happened? Well, he said something to me I didn't like, so I punched him in the mouth. Well, you shouldn't let anybody pick on you. It's like, no, wait a minute. That's not how you want him to be. He's going to be in jail if you do that, right? Like, so it's you're absolutely right.
Hard.
Yeah, a lot of people are in jail because they made a decision in a moment, and instead of having they were disempowered, and instead of empowering themselves, they acted out in the moment. And that's key. So let's. I know we're pressed for time on your time. How do we reach you? How do people reach out to you? I know that you're international, so it's not just, this isn't just an Atlanta program that you're running. How do people connect with you, take advantage of some of the things that you have to offer for their children? Because you know what? As parents, we're not equipped with the language that you're equipped with. We don't have the skills that you have. So as a parent, how do we get better at being an inspiration to our kids?
Okay. Well, to get in contact with me is two ways. One is Instagram. You can DM me anytime on Instagram. My IG is SF Dreams Big. That's where they can reach me there, or they can reach me they can call if they want to call. And that number, I can give it to you now. It's 678-408-2053. And that's easy. And website is YCHIAMAG.com. Or they can just look up You Can Have It All magazine, and it'll come right up.
We'll put it all in the caption for you guys.
And all the resources will come up. As far as being an inspiration or learning, besides, of course, we have products and things like that, the success stacks and tools. The biggest thing that I have found is for parents is, the experiences that you have and that you've had in life are the best teachers for your children, because you've already gone through what they're going to go through. Mm-hmm. So parents know more than what they think they do. The thing is that, it's stop trying to get an A+ on every situation, because you're not. You're learning. And the cool thing is that children are resilient. So you can make a mistake with your child and they'll brush it off and, they'll shake it off and keep moving. A lot of times we feel guilty because my God, I raised my voice. I yelled at him. I shouldn't have done that. I took it to right. We go through all these things. And the reality is that you're learning too. I heard someone say when a child is born, a parent is born as well. And so just like the child is learning and growing, the parent is learning and growing. So again, use your experiences, the things that you've gone through, good or bad, to help shape your child, right? And to realize to be patient with yourself as a parent, right? You're going through it. If your child is 4 years old, you're 4 years old at being a parent, right? They're young and you're young, and it's okay. You're going to make mistakes, but to love them is the most important thing. At the end of the day, love them. 2 suggestions. Before they leave out of your sight in the morning, you let them know you love them and you're proud of them and have a great day. Before they go to bed at night, the exact same thing. I love you. I'm proud of you. Whatever you want to say to let them feel good, because you don't know whether you're going to wake up the next day. You want the last thing that they hear from you to always be something positive, because they'll go out into the world and there will be a reflection of what it is that you say to them.
I love that. That's so powerful.
I really liked, I think we should name the episode, love is spelled Time. That was it resonated with me.
Yeah.
That's so smart.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, fun. Man. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Greatly appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Take it easy.
Bye.
All right now.
There goes a sight from my soul.